The massive alien ship appeared over New York City on a Tuesday morning, casting a shadow that stretched from Manhattan to Brooklyn. Its hull gleamed like polished obsidian, adorned with geometric patterns that hurt human eyes to look at directly. Within hours, identical vessels materialized above every major city on Earth. President Chen stood in the Situation Room, watching the feeds from around the globe. London, Tokyo, Moscow, Delhi, everywhere the same imposing sight. The ships hung motionless, defying gravity with casual indifference to human understanding of physics. "Have they attempted communication?" Chen asked General Morrison, who was coordinating the global response. "Negative, Madam President. Complete radio silence for the past 6 hours." Dr. Sarah Kim, the lead xenobiologist, rushed into the room, clutching a tablet. "They're scanning us," she announced breathlessly. "Every electromagnetic frequency we can detect. They're cataloging our technology, our biology, everything." Then the voice came, not through radio waves or speakers, but directly into every human mind on the planet simultaneously. The alien communication bypassed language entirely, implanting meaning directly into consciousness. "We are the hegemony. Your species has been evaluated. You possess minimal technological advancement. Your biological composition is unremarkable. Your planetary resources are required for our expansion. Surrender is inevitable. Resistance will result in immediate termination." The message repeated 3 times before silence returned. Across the globe, humans reacted with expected fear and panic. Stock markets crashed. Religious leaders declared everything from the apocalypse to divine judgment. Military forces went to maximum alert. But in a small comedy club in Chicago, something unexpected happened. Mike Rodriguez was performing his regular Tuesday night set when the alien message hit. The audience sat stunned, processing the cosmic ultimatum. Mike, a veteran comedian who'd bombed on stage more times than he cared to count, found himself facing the ultimate hostile crowd. Not just the 30 people in the club, but apparently the entire universe. "Well," he said into the microphone, "I've had tougher audiences." A nervous laugh rippled through the crowd. "I mean, come on," Mike continued, warming up. "They traveled across the galaxy just to tell us we're unremarkable? My mother could have saved them the trip. She's been saying that about me for 37 years. The laughter grew stronger. People pulled out phones, recording. And minimal technological advancement? Have they seen TikTok? Because if that's not advanced technology being used for the most primitive purposes possible, I don't know what is. Within hours, the video was viral. Our defiant humor began trending globally. Mike's routine spread across social media platforms faster than any cat video in history. News networks picked it up. Late-night hosts began crafting their own responses. In the Situation Room, President Chen watched the phenomenon unfold. "Are people really making jokes about this?" Dr. Kim looked up from her analysis. "It appears to be a widespread psychological defense mechanism. Humor as a coping strategy in the face of existential threat. It's actually quite fascinating from an anthropological perspective." General Morrison frowned. "With respect, this isn't the time for comedy." "Actually," Chen said slowly, "maybe it is." The aliens, monitoring human communications with growing confusion, struggled to process this response. Their advanced artificial intelligence systems had modeled thousands of scenarios for human reaction. Panic, submission, futile military resistance, religious fervor. But humor? Jokes in the face of annihilation? This was unprecedented in their database of conquered species. Commander Zix-4 of the primary vessel studied the data streams with increasing bewilderment. In 800 years of expansion across 47 star systems, the hegemony had never encountered a species that responded to conquest with laughter. "The humans appear to be malfunctioning," reported Sub-Commander Kel 9. "Their neural patterns suggest they understand the threat, yet they continue producing these entertainment transmissions. Perhaps their translation matrices are corrupted," suggested another officer. "They may not comprehend our message, but the monitoring systems clearly showed humans understood perfectly. They simply chose to respond with increasingly elaborate jokes." Social media exploded with memes featuring alien ships with captions like "came billions of miles just to criticize our Yelp reviews" and "when you order planet invasion from Wish." Teenager in Mumbai posted a video of herself addressing the alien ship hovering over her city. Okay, but have you tried turning Earth off and on again? Because honestly, a factory reset might be exactly what we need right now. In Sao Paulo, a street artist painted a massive mural showing an alien pointing at Earth with a speech bubble reading, "This is why we can't have nice planets." The comedy response spread beyond individual posts. Television networks suspended regular programming to broadcast special comedy shows. Invasion Improv became an instant hit, with comedians taking audience suggestions for alien-related scenarios. "Give me an alien emotion and a household appliance," called out host Janet Walsh. "Confused. Toaster," someone shouted back. Okay, so the alien commander is trying to understand human technology. He picks up a toaster, plugs it in 20 minutes. Later, he's convinced we worship the bread god and our entire civilization is built around golden sacrifice rituals. The audience erupted in laughter that was equal parts genuine amusement and desperate relief. Meanwhile, governments struggled to formulate serious responses. Military analysts worked around the clock to find weaknesses in the alien technology. Scientists attempted to establish meaningful communication. Diplomats prepared surrender documents just in case. But the world's attention remained fixed on the comedy response. Children drew pictures of friendly alien visitors asking for directions. Restaurants added alien appetizers to their menus. Dating apps introduced intergalactic as a relationship category. The phenomenon reached its peak when a group of comedians organized Stand Up to the Stars at a coordinated global comedy event broadcast simultaneously from every major city with an alien ship overhead. Millions gathered in public spaces, watching local performers deliver sets directly addressing their alien visitors. In London, comedian Raj Patel stood beneath the massive ship and declared, "You know what's really minimal about our technology? Our customer service. Good luck getting tech support for this planet. You'll be on hold for eons." In Sydney, Maria Santos gestured at the looming vessel. "I love how they call it an inevitable surrender. Mate, have you met humans? We argue with automated phone systems. We leave bad reviews for hurricanes. Inevitable is not in our vocabulary." The alien command structure found itself completely unprepared for this response. Their psychological warfare tactics, perfected across dozens of worlds, had no effect on a species that turned existential terror into entertainment. Commander Zix-4 initiated an emergency consultation with the Hegemony High Command. For the first time in their expansion history, they faced an enemy that refused to be intimidated, not through courage or defiance, but through something far more unsettling: the ability to find cosmic threats genuinely amusing. The Hegemony High Command convened an emergency session aboard their flagship, the Dominion's Edge, positioned at the edge of the solar system. Never in their 800-year expansion had they encountered such an anomalous response to conquest protocols. Supreme Commander Vex Prime reviewed the data streams with mounting frustration. Holographic displays showed human population centers, but instead of the expected chaos and submission, they revealed organized gatherings of humans engaging in coordinated vocalizations that their translation systems labeled as laughter. Explain this phenomenon. Vex Prime commanded the assembled Strategic Council, Sub-Commander Tel 7, the Hegemony's leading expert on conquered species psychology, manipulated the hologram to highlight specific human settlements. The humans appear to be experiencing collective neural dysfunction. When faced with superior force, all previously cataloged species exhibit predictable responses: fight, flight, or freeze. These humans have invented a fourth response that defies our understanding. "They mock us," growled War Leader Kex 3, his battle-scarred carapace clicking with agitation. "No species has ever dared mock the hegemony." "Perhaps that is precisely the problem," suggested Analysis Prime Quell 2, the most senior scientific advisor. "Our psychological warfare relies on fear responses that have proven universal across 47 conquered worlds. But these humans seem to process existential threat through a mechanism we've never encountered." The War Council studied footage from Earth's major cities. In New York, humans had organized a Comedy Central Park event where thousands gathered to watch performers mock the alien invasion. In London, people held signs reading "Earth's Got Talent" with arrows pointing at the alien ships. In Tokyo, citizens had begun a coordinated effort to teach the aliens human dance moves, reasoning that any species advanced enough for interstellar travel should learn proper choreography. Most disturbing to the hegemony leadership was the complete absence of panic. Previous invasions had generated refugee streams, military mobilization, and social collapse within hours of first contact. Instead, Earth's internet infrastructure was handling record traffic as humans shared increasingly elaborate jokes about their alien visitors. "Show me the human leadership response," Vex Prime demanded. The hologram shifted to display government facilities worldwide. Here finally was something familiar. Military leaders coordinated defensive strategies. Scientists analyzed alien technology. Politicians held emergency sessions. But even these serious discussions were periodically interrupted by officials sharing particularly clever social media posts about the invasion. Their leaders maintained dual operational modes, Tel 7 observed. Serious preparation alongside this humor mechanism. It's as if they're processing the threat on multiple cognitive levels simultaneously. Meanwhile, on Earth, the comedy response had evolved beyond simple jokes. Artists worldwide collaborated on the Galactic Welcome Mat project, creating massive ground installations visible from orbit. Instead of surrender symbols or military displays, they painted Earth with enormous cosmic jokes. The Australian outback now featured a kilometers-wide image of aliens at a drive-through window with the caption, "Order up. One planet, hold the humans." The Sahara Desert showcased an alien tourist map with Earth, marked as "You are here and helpful." Directions to better planets that way. President Chen convened her cabinet for the fifth emergency session since the aliens arrived. Despite the gravity of the situation, she found herself fighting back a smile as her chief of staff briefed her on the latest developments. "Madam President, social media engagement with alien-related content has increased by 847% globally. The hashtag #ReadAroundAlienWelcome Committee is trending in 67 languages, including 3 that linguists didn't know existed before yesterday." "What about actual defensive preparations?" General Morrison asked, still struggling to balance military readiness with the surreal nature of the situation. "We're maintaining DEFCON 2, but honestly, public morale has never been higher during a crisis," Admiral Torres reported. "Recruitment centers are actually seeing increased applications. Apparently, young people want to join the military specifically to mess with alien minds." Dr. Kim looked up from her xenobiology analysis. "I've been monitoring the alien ship's energy signatures. Something interesting is happening. Their power fluctuations suggest they're running continuous high-level computational processes, far beyond what would be needed for simple occupation protocols. Meaning, they're trying to figure us out. Whatever we're doing, it's not in their playbook. They're having to develop new strategies in real time." The president made a decision that would have seemed insane a week earlier. "I want to address the nation, but not a typical presidential address. Get me in touch with whoever organized that comedy festival in Central Park." Within hours, President Chen stood on a makeshift stage in Washington, D.C., with the alien ship looming directly overhead. The scene was broadcast globally, but instead of a solemn wartime address, she began with an observation that captured the world's attention. "You know, when I was a kid, my parents always told me not to talk to strangers, but they never said anything about aliens. So I figure we're in uncharted territory here." The crowd laughed, but she continued with substance beneath the humor. "To our visitors from across the galaxy, we've received your message about surrender and termination. We appreciate you taking the time to travel all this way to deliver it personally. Very professional, 5 stars for customer service. However, we're going to have to respectfully decline your offer." She paused, looking directly up at the ship. "See, the thing about humans is we're kind of stubborn. We argue with furniture when we stub our toes. We give hurricanes names just so we can yell at them personally. And we've been fighting among ourselves for so long that having a common enemy is actually bringing out our best qualities. But here's what we're prepared to offer instead: a cultural exchange program. You clearly have superior technology. We respect that. But we have something you don't seem to understand: the ability to find joy in the face of impossible odds. And honestly, based on your communication style, you guys could use some comedy writing lessons." The alien monitoring systems recorded every word, transmitting the data to the hegemony command structure. For the first time in their expansion history, they were witnessing a species that acknowledged superior force while simultaneously rejecting intimidation. Commander Zix-4 received an urgent communication from the High Command. Abandon standard conquest protocols. Initiate deep analysis procedures. These humans require unprecedented study. But humans had already moved to their next phase. Social media exploded with alien exchange student content. Someone created a fake university course catalog, titled Galactic Relations 101, with course descriptions like Basic Human Irony for Advanced, Civilizations and Earth Customs, Why We Name Our Hurricanes and Kiss Under Mistletoe. A group of linguists in Cambridge began work on a universal comedy translation protocol, reasoning that if these aliens were going to stick around, they needed to understand human humor properly. Their first project was creating an alien-compatible version of knock-knock jokes. Knock-knock. According to our sensors, we detect a sentient being requesting entry. See right there, you're overthinking it. The phenomenon reached a crescendo when someone discovered that the alien ship's geometric patterns, when viewed from specific angles, resembled popular internet memes. Within hours, humans were holding up signs creating optical illusions that made the ships appear to be displaying Earth's most beloved meme formats. The psychological effect on the hegemony forces was profound. They had conquered through intimidation and superiority for centuries. Now they faced a species that somehow transformed their presence from a source of terror into the universe's largest comedy festival. For the first time in hegemony history, the invading force was more confused than the planet they intended to conquer. The hegemony's confusion deepened when humans began actively attempting to communicate with their alien visitors through increasingly creative methods. What started as defensive humor had evolved into something unprecedented in galactic history. A species trying to befriend their would-be conquerors. Dr. Sarah Kim led a team of scientists, comedians, and linguists in developing what they called Project Bridge Builder. The goal was ambitious and seemingly impossible. Establish meaningful dialogue with beings whose opening message had been a threat of extinction. The pattern recognition is fascinating, Dr. Kim explained to her assembled team in a converted warehouse in Nevada, far from major population centers. Their ships respond to our behavior in real time. When we organize large gatherings, their energy output increases. When we broadcast comedy, their scanning patterns change. They're studying us as intensively as we're studying them. Jake Chen, a stand-up comedian who'd gained international fame for his alien material, raised his hand. So you're saying they're basically a really tough crowd that we need to win over? In the most literal sense possible, yes. The team's first breakthrough came when they realized the aliens' geometric ship patterns weren't just decoration. They were a visual language. Dr. Martinez, a mathematician specializing in fractal geometry, discovered that the patterns shifted in response to human activities below. "Look at this," she said, projecting the pattern analysis on the warehouse's main screen. When humans gather in organized groups, the patterns become more symmetrical. When chaos increases, they become more angular. It's like they're trying to mirror our social states. This revelation led to Project Mirror Phase. Humans worldwide coordinated to create specific social patterns while observing the alien ship's responses. When everyone in New York simultaneously performed jumping jacks, the ship's patterns shifted to rhythmic geometric pulses. When Londoners organized into concentric circles in Hyde Park, their ship's surface displayed corresponding circular motifs. They're not just monitoring us, Dr. Kim realized. They're trying to communicate back. The hegemony, meanwhile, faced their own internal crisis. Supreme Commander Vex Prime summoned Analysis Prime Quell 2 for an emergency consultation. "Your assessment," Vex Prime demanded. "The humans have created a paradox in our operational framework." Quell 2 reported, "Standard protocol requires either immediate submission or military resistance. Both scenarios have established counter-protocols. But they've invented a third option, collaborative engagement with their conquerors. Impossible. No species collaborates with the hegemony during invasion procedures. Nevertheless, they persist. Observe." The holographic display showed real-time feeds from Earth. In Mumbai, children had organized a Draw Your Alien Friend contest, creating thousands of colorful pictures showing humans and aliens playing together. In São Paulo, musicians were composing symphonies inspired by the ship's humming frequencies. In Stockholm, engineers were building giant mechanical sculptures designed to say hello in space language. Most disturbing to Hegemony Command was the complete absence of military escalation. Earth's nuclear weapons remained dormant. Their space forces made no aggressive moves. Instead, humans seemed to be treating the invasion as the galaxy's most elaborate first contact scenario. Commander Zix-4, monitoring from the New York vessel, found himself in an unprecedented situation. His crew, trained for conquest through intimidation, was now dealing with humans who left offerings of food and flowers around the ship's perimeter. Children drew chalk messages on sidewalks, "Welcome to Earth," and "Hope you like pizza." "Sir," reported Navigation Officer Pex-8, "the humans have established what they call a diplomatic snack station directly beneath our ship. They're leaving samples of their cuisine with explanatory notes." Zix-4 examined the offering through their monitoring systems. Dozens of Earth food items, each labeled with descriptions like, "This is chocolate. It makes humans happy. Thought you might want to try it," and coffee. "Warning, may cause jitters in carbon-based life forms. Are they attempting to poison us?" "Negative, sir. Analysis indicates no harmful substances. They appear to be genuine attempts at cultural sharing." This pattern repeated globally. Paris offered wine and cheese. Tokyo provided sushi and origami instructions. Mexico City set up entire food festivals themed around cooking for our cosmic guests. The psychological impact on hegemony forces was unprecedented. War leader Kex-3 had trained for centuries in combat tactics, but found himself studying reports about humans trying to teach aliens how to dance. His tactical briefings now included sections on human recreational activities and emotional response management in non-hostile populations. They're weaponizing friendship, Kex-3 reported to the High Command. "I don't understand how, but they're making our forces question the invasion protocol." This concern proved prophetic when several junior officers requested transfers to cultural analysis duty rather than standard combat positions. Young hegemony personnel, who had joined the military for glorious conquest, found themselves reluctantly fascinated by human creativity. Sub-Commander Tel-7 noted increasing instances of what he termed conquest hesitation syndrome among the crew. Personnel are spending off-duty time watching human entertainment broadcasts. Several have begun learning human languages. One officer requested permission to sample human music. Back on Earth, humans had moved beyond simple communication attempts to active problem-solving. A group of philosophers and ethicists from universities worldwide published an open letter to the aliens titled Alternative Solutions to Galactic Expansion. The letter, broadcast on all frequencies and translated into mathematical concepts, proposed radical alternatives. Instead of conquest, consider collaboration. Humans are excellent at solving problems we shouldn't be able to solve. We've survived ice ages, plagues, and our own terrible decision-making for thousands of years. We might be useful allies rather than conquered subjects. The document included detailed proposals for human-alien cooperation. We can offer cultural diversity, creative problem-solving, and what we call thinking outside the box. In exchange, we'd love to learn about your technology, your worlds, and your experiences. We promise not to ask awkward questions about your personal lives or try to sell you extended warranties. This diplomatic outreach culminated in Global Hello Day, a coordinated worldwide event where every human on Earth simultaneously performed actions designed to demonstrate friendliness. At precisely noon GMT, 3 billion people waved at their local alien ship, held up signs of welcome in every human language, and performed synchronized dances taught through social media. The aliens' response was immediate and unprecedented. Every ship's geometric patterns shifted to display what could only be described as more harmonious designs. The vessel's humming frequencies changed to match musical scales rather than the previous discordant tones. Dr. Kim watched the data streams with growing excitement. They're responding positively. The energy signatures show decreased aggressive posturing and increased analytical activity. They're studying our friendship attempts with the same intensity they previously devoted to intimidation analysis. President Chen, watching the global response from the White House, made another decision that would have seemed impossible a week earlier. She ordered the preparation of humanity's first official diplomatic proposal to an alien species. If they want to talk about surrender, she told her advisors, let's give them something to really think about. Draft a counter-proposal. We're not surrendering Earth, but we're willing to negotiate a friendship treaty. The hegemony found themselves facing something their 800-year expansion had never prepared them for. A species that refused to be conquered and instead insisted on turning invasion into invitation. The hegemony high command faced an unprecedented crisis. For 800 years, their expansion had followed predictable patterns: arrival, intimidation, submission, resource extraction, and incorporation. Never had they encountered a species that responded to conquest. Threats by essentially throwing a planet-wide welcome. Party Supreme Commander Vex Prime stared at the tactical displays showing Earth's continued defiance through friendship. Reports flooded in from all invasion points, each more bewildering than the last. "Sir," reported Intelligence Coordinator Hex 9, "the humans have begun what they call Operation Cosmic Neighbors. They're establishing permanent welcome centers beneath each of our vessels." Explain. They've constructed facilities offering what they term alien amenities. These include atmospheric adjustment chambers in case we wish to experience their environment, translation centers staffed by their best linguists, and cultural orientation programs. Vex Prime's mandibles clicked in confusion. They're facilitating our conquest? Negative, sir. They appear to be facilitating our integration. The intelligence report included footage from the New York Welcome Center. Humans had built a sophisticated facility complete with multiple atmospheric environments, universal translation equipment, and what they called friendship orientation sessions. Signs in dozens of human languages read, "Welcome, travelers," and universal health care available, no invasion insurance required. Commander Zix-4, monitoring the situation from orbit above New York, found his tactical assessments increasingly irrelevant. His crew, trained for military occupation, now spent their duty shifts watching humans below engaged in activities that defied all previous conquest scenarios. "Sir," reported Communications Officer Dex 5, "the humans have begun broadcasting what they call Learn Our Languages programs directly to our ships. They appear to be teaching us their communication methods voluntarily. Why would they assist their conquerors in learning their languages? According to their broadcasts, they quote, want to make sure we understand each other properly. Because communication is the foundation of all good relationships, even really complicated ones that started with threats of extinction." The hegemony's confusion deepened when they intercepted human communications planning something called FIRST, Contact Festival, and a global celebration, designed to properly welcome our new galactic neighbors and show them what humanity does best: throw amazing parties. Earth's major cities coordinated the largest synchronized cultural event in human history. Every form of human artistic expression was organized into a planet-wide showcase designed specifically for their alien visitors. In Vienna, orchestras performed symphonies incorporating the aliens' ship frequencies as bass notes. In Rio, dancers created routines inspired by the aliens' geometric patterns. In Cairo, storytellers shared humanity's greatest myths and legends, translated into mathematical concepts the aliens might understand. But the most significant development occurred when Dr. Sarah Kim's team achieved actual two-way communication with the alien vessels, working with linguists, mathematicians, and the world's most creative comedians. They had developed a communication protocol based on pattern recognition and humor. The breakthrough came when they realized that jokes, by their very nature, required understanding context, timing, and unexpected connections, making them ideal tools for establishing cognitive compatibility. They transmitted a simple joke: "Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything." The response from the New York ship was immediate. Its geometric patterns shifted into what could only be interpreted as confusion, followed by recognition, and finally something resembling amusement. The ship's response came as a pattern that translated roughly to, query, "Is this an example of human linguistic deception used for entertainment purposes?" Dr. Kim's team transmitted back, "Confirmed. This is what we call humor. It helps us process complex emotions and build social connections." The alien response, "Fascinating. Please transmit additional examples of this humor for analysis." What followed was the universe's first interstellar comedy exchange. Humans shared jokes while aliens responded with increasingly sophisticated pattern-based communications that showed growing understanding of human humor principles. The aliens' first attempt at humor was clumsy but genuine. a geometric pattern that translated to query. Why do hegemony ships travel in formations? Because they cannot function alone. When humans responded with encouraging laughter patterns, the aliens seemed to understand they had successfully created what humans called a joke. This breakthrough led to direct contact. Commander Zix-4 made a decision that violated every hegemony protocol. He agreed to a face-to-face meeting with human representatives. The meeting was arranged at the United Nations building in New York. With the alien commander beaming down using their advanced transportation technology, the moment marked humanity's first formal diplomatic contact with an alien species. Zix-4 appeared as a tall crystalline being with shifting geometric patterns across his translucent surface. He moved with fluid grace but seemed nervous, an emotion humans hadn't expected from their would-be conquerors. "I am Commander Zix-4 of the Hegemony Expedition Force," he said through a universal translator. "I must confess your species has created a situation not covered in our operational protocols." President Chen, representing humanity, smiled. "We tend to do that. Would you like some coffee? We weren't sure about your species' dietary requirements, but we have several alternatives prepared. This simple offer of hospitality, treating the alien commander as a guest rather than a conqueror, seemed to fundamentally confuse Zix-4. His patterns shifted through several configurations before he responded. "You offer sustenance to one who came to claim your world?" "Well, yes. That's what we do. It's called hospitality. Besides, you traveled across the galaxy to get here. You must be tired." The conversation that followed would be remembered as the moment that changed galactic history. Instead of discussing surrender terms, humanity presented their counterproposal, a friendship treaty. "We understand you're expanding across the galaxy," President Chen explained. "But instead of conquest, we'd like to propose partnership. Humans are really good at things that might be useful to you: creative problem-solving, cultural adaptation, and finding solutions that nobody else thought to try. In exchange," she continued, "we'd love to learn from you. Your technology, your experiences, your perspectives. We think diversity makes everyone stronger, including galactic civilizations." Commander Zix-4's patterns shifted through what his translator indicated was deep consideration. "You propose cooperation with the hegemony? This is unprecedented." "Everything's unprecedented until someone does it first," President Chen replied. "Besides, conquest seems like a lot of work. Friendship is much more fun." The meeting concluded with Commander Zix-4 requesting time to consult with his superiors. But something had fundamentally changed. For the first time in hegemony history, an invasion force was seriously considering alternatives to conquest. As Zix-4 prepared to return to his ship, he paused. "One question. This humor your species uses. Why do you create linguistic deceptions for entertainment?" President Chen smiled. "Because laughter makes everything better, even impossible situations. Want to learn some more jokes while you think over our proposal?" And for the first time in 800 years of galactic expansion, a hegemony commander found himself genuinely curious about learning something from the species he had come to conquer. Commander Zix-4's return to his ship triggered the most significant debate in hegemony military history. His crew, having observed the unprecedented meeting, found themselves questioning 8 centuries of conquest doctrine. "Sir," ventured Navigation Officer Pex-8, "the humans' proposal contains logical merit. Their offer of cooperation could yield greater resource acquisition than standard conquest protocols." "Explain your reasoning," Zix-4 commanded, though he found himself genuinely curious about his officer's analysis. Traditional conquest requires significant military resources for subjugation and ongoing occupation forces for resource extraction. The humans propose voluntary cooperation, which would eliminate resistance costs while potentially providing access to their unique problem-solving capabilities. Sub-Commander Kel-9 displayed the economic projections. Analysis indicates human cooperation could yield 347% greater long-term resource generation compared to standard extraction protocols. Their technological creativity, while primitive, shows remarkable efficiency improvements. But the real revelation came from Cultural Analysis Officer Nex-7, a young member of the crew who had been studying human broadcasts. "Sir, I believe we may have fundamentally misunderstood the nature of strength." The bridge fell silent. Questioning hegemony, understanding of strength bordered on blasphemy. Continue, Zix-4 said carefully. The humans demonstrate power through unity without uniformity. They maintain individual identity while achieving collective action. This appears to generate what they call resilience, the ability to adapt and overcome obstacles without losing essential character. Next 7 displayed human activities from around the globe. Observe. They face extinction threat from us, yet instead of fragmenting into panic or futile resistance, they coordinate planet-wide cultural responses while maintaining local diversity. Each human settlement responds differently, yet all responses serve the same goal of peaceful contact. Meanwhile, on Earth, humans had not remained idle during the diplomatic pause. If anything, the possibility of actual alien friendship had energized the planet's creative communities beyond anything in recorded history. Project Universe Bridge, coordinated by Dr. Kim's expanded team, began developing comprehensive cultural exchange protocols. The goal was ambitious: create a framework for peaceful integration between humanity and any alien species, starting with the hegemony. We need to think bigger than just avoiding conquest, Dr. Kim explained to the international team assembled in Geneva. We have the opportunity to establish the first interspecies alliance in galactic history. That requires understanding not just how to communicate, but how to build lasting relationships across completely different forms of consciousness. The project attracted Earth's brightest minds across every discipline. Linguists worked with alien pattern specialists to develop universal communication methods. Psychologists studied hegemony behavioral patterns to understand alien social structures. Artists created new forms of expression designed to bridge the gap between human emotion and alien logic. Most remarkably, comedians found themselves at the center of diplomatic innovation. The humor exchange with the aliens had revealed something profound. Laughter was a universal indicator of cognitive flexibility. Species that could understand and create humor demonstrated the mental adaptability necessary for successful cooperation. Mike Rodriguez, the comedian whose routine had started the global humor response, now found himself leading diplomatic comedy workshops for potential alien cultural ambassadors. The key isn't just making them laugh, he explained to a mixed audience of diplomats, scientists, and fellow comedians. It's understanding what they find amusing. Their first joke attempt was about ships traveling in formations because they can't function alone. That tells us something important about their society. What does it tell us? Asked Dr. Martinez, the fractal geometry specialist. They understand isolation as weakness. That's why they travel in groups, conquer in groups, think in groups. Our humor response probably confused them because it demonstrated strength through individual creativity, coordinated into collective action. We showed them a different model of social organization. This insight led to the development of humor diplomacy, using comedy as a tool for cultural bridge building. Human comedians began crafting jokes specifically designed to help aliens understand human values while demonstrating respect for alien perspectives. The breakthrough came when humans realized they could use humor to address the fundamental conflict directly. A group of international comedians, working with the UN's new Alien Relations Department, crafted a comedy routine addressing the invasion situation itself. With Commander Zix-4's permission, they broadcast it directly to the hegemony fleet. "So we've got this situation," began comedian Sarah Chen, addressing the aliens directly. "You came here to conquer us, but we keep trying to be friends. It's like showing up to someone's house to rob them and they invite you in for dinner. Now, from your perspective, this probably seems crazy. You've got superior technology, superior numbers, and a proven track record of galactic conquest. You should be able to take our lunch money without breaking a sweat. But here's the thing about humans. We're really bad at doing what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be terrified, but we're curious. We're supposed to surrender, but we want to negotiate. We're supposed to see you as enemies, but we see you as really exotic neighbors who need better welcoming committees." The routine continued with gentle jokes about both human stubborn optimism and alien logical inflexibility, creating a shared perspective that acknowledged both species' qualities without judgment. The hegemony's response was immediate and unprecedented. Commander Zix-4 transmitted a formal request for expanded cultural exchange sessions, but the real change occurred within the hegemony fleet itself. Junior officers began requesting assignment to human observation duties. Crew members started learning human languages voluntarily. Most significantly, Several ships began experimenting with human-inspired modifications to their geometric patterns, creating what could only be called artistic expression. Supreme Commander Vex Prime, monitoring these developments from the flagship, faced a decision that would determine the future of hegemony expansion. Reports from Earth indicated that human friendship tactics were affecting his force's military cohesion. The crews are developing what Analysis Prime Quell 2 terms conquest reluctance, reported war leader Kex 3. They remain loyal to the hegemony, but show decreased enthusiasm for traditional occupation protocols. More concerning, added Quell 2, they demonstrate increased interest in what humans call collaborative problem-solving. Several tactical teams have requested permission to work with human engineers on theoretical technology improvements. Vex Prime studied the data carefully. What do you recommend? The humans have created a paradox, Quell 2 replied. They offer us everything we typically take by force: resources, cooperation, cultural exchange, while requiring nothing but respect in return. Standard conquest protocols seem inefficient by comparison. The moment of decision arrived when the humans transmitted their final diplomatic proposal. President Chen, representing Earth, addressed the hegemony directly with an offer that would reshape galactic civilization. To our friends from the stars, she began, we propose the Galactic Friendship Accords, the first voluntary alliance between species in known galactic history. We offer partnership, not surrender. We propose mutual growth, not extraction. We invite you to help us become something greater than either of our species could achieve alone. In practical terms, we offer voluntary cooperation and resource sharing, joint technological development, cultural exchange programs, and shared exploration of the galaxy. In return, we ask for respect, friendship, and the chance to prove that cooperation produces better results than conquest. We understand this is unprecedented, but the best things in history usually are. What do you say we make some history together? The transmission ended with something that perfectly encapsulated humanity's approach to the impossible. A joke. Besides, you've already traveled all this way. It would be a shame to go home empty-handed when you could go home with friends. For the first time in 800 years, the hegemony faced a choice between conquest and something entirely new. And throughout their fleet, from Supreme Commander to Junior Officer, they found themselves genuinely curious about this thing humans called friendship. The Hegemony High Command convened an emergency session for the most consequential decision in their 800-year history. The debate that followed would determine not just Earth's fate, but the future of galactic civilization itself. Supreme Commander Vex Prime presided over a council divided between ancient doctrine and unprecedented possibility. The tactical displays showed Earth's continued peaceful activities. Humans had begun construction of what they called friendship monuments beneath each alien ship. Architectural marvels designed to demonstrate their commitment to interspecies cooperation. The strategic analysis is clear, reported war leader Kex 3, his battle-scarred carapace reflecting his internal conflict. Human resistance through friendship has achieved what no military force across 47 worlds accomplished. It has made our forces question conquest itself. Analysis Prime Quell 2 displayed comprehensive data streams. Personnel evaluation indicates 73% of our forces now show preference for cooperation over occupation protocols. This represents a fundamental shift in military culture unprecedented in hegemony history. More significantly, added Intelligence Coordinator Hex 9, preliminary assessments suggest human cooperation could yield resource generation, exceeding our current empire's total output within 50 standard cycles. Their creative problem-solving appears to multiply resource efficiency exponentially. But the most compelling testimony came from Commander Zix 4, whose direct contact with humans had transformed his understanding of conquest itself. Supreme Commander, he began, I have observed something that our strategic models never predicted. Willing cooperation produces superior results to forced compliance. Human volunteerism generates innovation that conquest suppresses. They solve problems we didn't know existed and create opportunities we never imagined. He activated a holographic display showing human innovations inspired by hegemony technology. In just days of friendly contact, human engineers had proposed modifications to alien energy systems that could improve efficiency by 200%. Artists had created new geometric patterns that enhanced ship harmony frequencies. Scientists had offered theoretical solutions to mathematical problems that had puzzled hegemony researchers for decades. But most importantly, HFY continued, they offer something our empire has never possessed: genuine enthusiasm for collective achievement. They celebrate our successes as their own and treat our goals as shared objectives. The debate continued for cycles, but the tide had shifted irreversibly. Reports from across the fleet confirmed the same pattern. Hegemony personnel exposed to human friendship protocols showed increased creativity, improved problem-solving abilities, and enhanced satisfaction with their duties. Young officers, like Cultural Analysis Officer Next 7, presented research indicating that hegemony expansion had actually slowed in recent centuries due to the psychological toll of constant conquest. Crew morale decreased with each subjugated world, leading to efficiency losses that offset conquest gains. The humans have inadvertently revealed a fundamental flaw in our expansion model, Next 7 reported. Conquest creates an empire of the unwilling, requiring constant resources for control. Cooperation creates an alliance of the enthusiastic, generating resources through innovation. Meanwhile, on Earth, humans had progressed beyond diplomatic proposals to concrete preparation for interspecies alliance. The Global Friendship Initiative, now coordinated by every major government and organization on the planet, had begun construction of humanity's first interstellar cooperation infrastructure. Dr. Sarah Kim, now serving as Earth's first Director of Alien Relations, oversaw projects that would have seemed impossible weeks earlier. Universities established xenocultural studies programs. Engineers designed hybrid technology systems. Artists created new forms of expression incorporating alien aesthetic principles. Most remarkably, humans had begun learning to think like galactic citizens rather than planetary inhabitants. Children drew pictures of themselves playing with alien friends on distant worlds. Students studied galactic history and interspecies cooperation theory. Adults planned careers in interstellar diplomacy and cross-species engineering. We're not just preparing for friendship with the hegemony, Dr. Kim explained to the United Nations Assembly. We're preparing to join galactic civilization as equal partners. This is humanity's graduation from a planetary species to a cosmic species. The transformation extended beyond Earth's surface. Human space agencies working with international cooperation had begun designing what they called friendship ships, vessels specifically intended for interspecies cooperation rather than human-only exploration. The designs incorporated hegemony geometric principles with human creativity, resulting in ships that were both functionally advanced and aesthetically revolutionary. But the most significant development occurred when humans began solving problems for the hegemony without being asked. A team of human mathematicians studying hegemony technical broadcasts identified an efficiency flaw in their faster-than-light navigation systems. Without any formal agreement or expectation of reward, they transmitted a solution that could reduce hegemony travel time by 30%. Similar volunteer contributions flowed from Earth. Agricultural techniques that could improve food production on hegemony worlds, artistic innovations that enhanced psychological well-being, philosophical frameworks that resolved ethical dilemmas the hegemony had struggled with for centuries. They're helping us voluntarily, Commander HFY reported to the High Command, not for conquest benefits or under coercion, but because they genuinely want to contribute to our mutual success. This behavior has no precedent in our historical records. The turning point came when Supreme Commander Vex Prime made an unprecedented decision. He requested a personal meeting with human representatives to experience this friendship phenomenon directly. The meeting was arranged aboard the flagship Dominion's Edge, with President Chen and Dr. Kim representing humanity, the moment when the Supreme Commander of the galaxy's most powerful military force sat down for tea with the leaders of a planet he had come to conquer would be remembered as the pivot point of galactic history. I confess puzzlement, Vex Prime began, his crystalline form shifting through contemplative patterns. Your species faces extinction yet offers cooperation. Your planet faces conquest yet provides assistance to your conquerors. Explain this paradox. President Chen smiled, a gesture that the aliens had learned to recognize as indicating peaceful intent and amusement. It's not a paradox if you understand that we don't see you as conquerors anymore. We see you as potential friends who started with a really terrible introduction. You attempted to intimidate us into surrender, Dr. Kim added. But intimidation only works if we accept the premise that conflict is inevitable. We rejected that premise and chose to assume cooperation was possible instead. But we possess superior force, Vex Prime pointed out. So do hurricanes, President Chen replied. But we don't surrender to hurricanes. We learn to live with them, predict them, and sometimes even benefit from them. Superior force doesn't have to mean conflict if both sides choose cooperation. The conversation continued for hours, covering everything from galactic expansion philosophy to the practical mechanics of interspecies cooperation. By its conclusion, Supreme Commander, Vex Prime had experienced something no hegemony leader ever had, a genuine desire to preserve and protect another species, rather than conquer them. Your proposal merits consideration, he announced formally. The hegemony will deliberate on your galactic friendship accords. But privately, to his closest advisors, he made a more significant admission. These humans have accomplished something remarkable. They have made me question the wisdom of 800 years of expansion doctrine. Perhaps it is time for the hegemony to evolve. The decision, when it came, would reshape the galaxy. But first, both species had to navigate the unprecedented challenge of transforming a conquest into the universe's first voluntary interspecies alliance. And as humans had proven repeatedly, the impossible was just another word for hasn't been done yet. 6 months after the first alien ships appeared over Earth, the galaxy witnessed something unprecedented in recorded history. The formal signing of the Galactic Friendship Accords, the first voluntary alliance between species in known galactic civilization. The ceremony took place simultaneously on Earth and aboard the Hegemony flagship, with representatives from both species participating in a celebration that redefined the meaning of first contact. What had begun as humanity's imminent extinction had transformed into the foundation of a new era of interstellar cooperation. Supreme Commander Vex Prime, his crystalline form now displaying patterns that human xenologists had learned to recognize as contentment, addressed the assembled representatives from both worlds. The hegemony acknowledges a fundamental truth learned from our human colleagues. Strength through unity exceeds strength through dominion. Today we abandon 800 years of conquest doctrine in favor of something greater, genuine partnership among equals. President Chen, representing Earth, responded with words that would echo across the galaxy. Today, humanity takes its first step as a galactic species. We enter the cosmic community not as conquered subjects, but as enthusiastic partners in building something no single species could achieve alone, a truly cooperative civilization. The Accords themselves were a masterpiece of interspecies diplomacy, incorporating human creativity with hegemony efficiency. Key provisions established joint technological development programs, shared resource management systems, cultural exchange initiatives, and most significantly, the expansion of the cooperation model to other species throughout the galaxy. Dr. Sarah Kim, now serving as Earth's first ambassador to the galactic community, had worked with Commander Zix-4 to develop what they called the Friendship Expansion Protocol, systematic approach for peacefully contacting and incorporating other species into the growing alliance. The beautiful irony, Dr. Kim explained to the assembled dignitaries, is that human stubbornness in refusing to be conquered has created a more effective expansion model than conquest ever was. Willing partners contribute more than forced subjects. The proof was already evident. In just 6 months of cooperation, joint human hegemony research teams had achieved breakthrough innovations that exceeded either species' capabilities alone. Human creativity combined with hegemony technology had produced faster-than-light communication systems, revolutionary energy generation methods, and architectural techniques that made both species' previous achievements seem primitive. But the most remarkable development was cultural. Hegemony personnel, exposed to human humor and optimism, had begun displaying previously unknown traits. Curiosity about beauty rather than just efficiency, interest in individual expression alongside collective goals, and what could only be called joy and discovery. Commander Zix-4, now serving as the hegemony's first ambassador to Earth, had become an unlikely comedian himself, crafting jokes that bridged the gap between alien logic and human absurdity. Why did the hegemony commander cross the galaxy? He asked during the ceremony. to conquer a planet and ended up making friends instead. This was not in our strategic planning models. The laughter that followed, both human and the harmonic frequency patterns that represented hegemony amusement, symbolized the transformation that had occurred. Where once there had been threat and fear, now there was genuine affection and mutual respect. Mike Rodriguez, the comedian whose routine had sparked humanity's defiant humor response, found himself serving as cultural liaison between the species. His job description, which would have been impossible to imagine 6 months earlier, was officially Director of Interspecies Comedy Relations. The key to the whole thing, he explained to a mixed audience of humans and aliens, was that we never stopped being ourselves. We didn't try to become what they wanted or expected. We just kept being human, stubborn, optimistic, and absolutely convinced that any problem can be solved if you approach it with enough creativity and bad jokes. The success of the Human Hegemony Alliance had already attracted attention from other species across the galaxy. 3 additional civilizations had requested inclusion in the Friendship Accords, drawn by reports of voluntary cooperation that produced superior results to conquest or isolation. The Zalani Collective, a hive mind species that had previously remained isolated, expressed fascination with humanity's ability to achieve collective action while maintaining individual identity. The Morphic Coalition, masters of biological adaptation, sought to learn human techniques for psychological resilience. Most significantly, the ancient crystalline archives, keepers of galactic knowledge for millennia, had emerged from their self-imposed isolation to study this new model of civilization. We are witnessing the evolution of galactic society itself, observed Analysis Prime Quell 2, whose role had transformed from military strategist to sociological researcher. The human model of cooperation through diversity is spreading across species that have maintained separation for thousands of years, but perhaps the most touching development was the personal relationships that had formed between individual humans and hegemony personnel. Children from both species had begun regular cultural exchange programs. Human artists collaborated with hegemony pattern makers to create new forms of beauty. Scientists from both civilizations worked side by side on research projects that benefited everyone. Cultural Analysis Officer Nex 7, who had been instrumental in helping the hegemony understand human social structures, had become close friends with Dr. Martinez, the fractal geometry specialist. Their collaboration had produced mathematical art forms that were both logically elegant and emotionally moving. The humans taught us something we didn't know we were missing. Nex 7 explained during a joint interview broadcast across both civilizations. They showed us that efficiency and joy are not mutually exclusive, that solving problems can be fun, that working together feels better than working alone, even when alone is more familiar. The transformation extended to the youngest members of both species. Human children learned hegemony mathematical concepts through games, while young hegemony personnel discovered human storytelling and imagination exercises. The result was a generation growing up with truly interspecies perspectives. Most remarkably, the children had begun creating hybrid cultural expressions that belonged to neither species exclusively, but to their shared future. Songs that combined human melody with hegemony harmonic mathematics. Stories that featured heroes from both civilizations working together. Art that expressed ideas that neither species could have conceived alone. This is what we've really accomplished, President Chen reflected during the anniversary celebration of First Contact. We didn't just avoid conquest. We didn't just achieve alliance. We created something genuinely new, a civilization that belongs to no single species but to all of us together. The ceremony concluded with a moment that perfectly captured the transformation that had occurred. As both species representatives signed the formal documents establishing permanent alliance, Commander Zix-4 turned to President Chen with a request that would have been unimaginable during his species' first threatening message. "Would you teach me one of your human greeting customs?" he asked. "I believe the gesture you call shaking hands would be appropriate for this historic moment." The image of the human president and the alien commander shaking hands while their respective species cheered in the background became the symbol of a new era. It represented not just peace between former enemies, but genuine friendship between cosmic neighbors. In the end, humanity's greatest victory wasn't defeating the aliens. It was proving that the universe was big enough for everyone to be friends. And as Earth took its place in the galactic community, humans carried with them the lesson they had taught everyone. Sometimes the best way to face the impossible is with a smile, a joke, and an absolutely unshakable belief that everything works out better when you choose friendship over fear. The galaxy had learned to laugh, and in learning to laugh together, they had discovered something more valuable than any conquest could provide: the infinite possibility that emerges when different species choose to build something beautiful together, rather than tear each other apart. And across the stars, wherever new species were discovered, the first message they received was no longer a threat of conquest, but an invitation to friendship, delivered, of course with a good joke to break the ice.